So we are in Old Mill, Arkansas. Pulled off the road here, shoot some video, check in with everybody. It's been a really good trip on our way to Alabama. And on the way here, we're just stopping by, shooting some video, seeing some friends, all that good stuff as we work our way to Alabama. To let all of you know, we will be in Tennessee at some point tomorrow. We'll let you know what happens out there. Stay tuned. I think you're going to like it. But to get down to it today, a few things I want to share with all of you. Some observations along the way through Texas. RV lots. I've never seen RV lots this big in my life. They are full. There are literally a million RVs sitting on the lots out in Texas. Car lots, truck lots, SUV lots, they are full. The multi-family units that are continuing to be built out here is something I've never seen in my life. It is just absolutely unbelievable, the amount of multi-family units going up out here in Texas. And last summer, when we were out here, same thing. So I don't know who's gonna be buying all these homes, who's going to be renting all this multifamily at $3,000 a month. Your guess is as good as mine. But Enrique, coming from California like myself, what do you think about our observations?
Yeah, so obviously as we're driving through Texas, all the dealerships and the RV lots that we run across on the freeway, they're completely stacked to the max. I've never seen so much inventory out there. Definitely you could tell that there's not a lot of people walking around either, so it looks like the sales are very slow. So whoever's out there working, definitely not a lot of people walking in, so obviously the money's just not there. The money's just not flowing. When it comes to these types of assets, there's no money out there. There's no money left over to be able to purchase these expensive assets out in Texas.
Your thoughts on all this? You live in Texas.
Right. So the multifamily unit debacle thing, I think a lot of people are still coming from California, New York, places like that, and they're moving down here. So I think the demand is there, but I mean, if that slows down, these people are going to be hurting to try and get people in these units. When it comes to the RVs and the vehicles, people are wiped out. They can't afford it, especially with the interest rates, and these vehicles are what, 20-30% more than they were a couple of years ago. And so with the interest rates and people are losing their jobs, I don't see how they're going to move these vehicles. That no one can afford this stuff.
Agreed. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. The amount of houses, the multifamily, the vehicles. Who's going to absorb all this? I don't know. Another thing, Cuba. Yesterday, we got the report that Cuba, their power was wiped out. I guess today they had a second nationwide blackout. You were researching this a little earlier today. No running water, no food.
Yeah, so obviously this country, they've had an issue for many years now where they have many blackouts throughout the day. A lot of the residents of Cuba are really struggling right now to be able to keep food on the table. Even people that have professional degrees out there, I think they're making somewhere around 30 USD equivalent a month. So that's not enough to be able to feed their families, and a lot of them have to stop what they're doing throughout the day to be able to find what they need for the day to eat. So it's a very devastating what's happening to Cuba, and even people with money out there, they're still having issues. You can imagine, you can have all the money in the world in Cuba and you still won't have electricity, even if you do have generators, and even if you do have a means to be able to provide your own electricity, you're still going to have a hard problem to be able to make ends meet. So even if you are well prepared in Cuba, you're still struggling. So I don't know where this is going to go. I know that there's a lot of issues going on around the world that are also affecting Cuba. And even after 2020, it looks like their infrastructure has really gone downhill. So we'll see what happens.
We'll be in Eastern Tennessee tomorrow. We're probably going to see some devastation there. We'll be reporting that to you. It's another reminder, Cuba, Eastern Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina. Aaron, it's a reminder to all of us how quickly something can happen out of left field, and you better be ready for it.
Right. So then you also have California, y'all are having all the fires. And then the last couple years, Texas was hit really, really bad by these by the winter storms, and which knocked out the power. And so, yeah, it just reminds you why we keep doing these things and why we talk about on this channel, my channel, of why you need to have backup power sources and just to be preparing, because you never know. I mean, do you think the people in eastern Tennessee thought that they were going to have a hurricane come through like that?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
You know, so
Exactly.
you never know when it's going to come through your area.
I do apologize if we're getting shaded out here. The sun's moving all over the place past the trees here. Switching gears here a little bit. Today, you reported that we saw a 45% decrease in mortgage apps from 2019. Who in the world is going to buy all of this real estate? Again, we're out here seeing new homes going up as fast as can be. Southern California, where we live out in the desert, San Jacinto, Riverside County, Hemet, these areas are booming with thousands of homes under construction right now. And you are seeing mortgage apps down 45% since 2019. Enrique,
Yes.
who's going to buy all of this?
Yeah, so you know, I do taxes for many realtors out there where we live at, and I have noticed a sharp decrease between 2022 and 2023, and now that 2024 is almost done, I can't only imagine what I'm going to end up seeing on these tax returns this coming year. The amount of income, the decrease of amount of income, or the losses that these realtors are going to have. A lot of them are probably going to bring me W-2s from ordinary jobs. They probably won't be able to continue to provide food on the table just on realtor income. And also, I have talked to many people throughout this past year that have successfully actually been able to purchase a home. But a lot of the times, these people, they actually, unfortunately, have to find creative ways to qualify for these mortgages. And some of them, even 6 months down the line, are already struggling to make their mortgage payments. So they're stretching themselves very thin just because they want to be able to achieve the American dream. But unfortunately, they're doing it, stretching themselves very thin. At any point, they could run into some financial issues trying to get this done.
HOAs going up,
Mm-hmm.
insurance going up, maintenance, utilities. If you're thinking about buying a house, you better think real seriously, in depth, if you can afford the cost that goes along with a home. On top of that, if you're thinking about buying a home, think about this. Since 2021, inflation has surged 22% for goods and services. So on top of everything outside of the home, medical insurance, cost to maintain a vehicle, child care, food, all that stuff on top of your mortgage payments, everything is skyrocketing. Eggs are up 87% since 2021. Auto insurance is up 47%. Gas up 16%. And while we're out here traveling, we're having to go out to eat while we're on the road. And let me tell you, food costs to go to a restaurant, it is not cheap. I don't care what state you're in, it is not cheap to go out and eat. Current debt delinquency is at 2.74%, highest in 12 years. And on top of that, savings rate is the lowest, I think, in 40 years. So, Aaron, what do you say to some of this data?
Well, I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be overextended. They're going to lose their house. You know, they might have been able to afford the payment when they bought it, but all these other costs are going to cut from their disposable income.
Yeah.
And so they're going to struggle to make these payments, and who's going to own it is they're going to lose the house, and BlackRock, institutional money, are going to come in. They're going to buy up these properties for cheap, and then we're going to be a nation of renters.
Yep. Now, just to remind everybody, please make sure to check out Texas Silver's channel. Put up a really good video very early this morning. It's doing very well. Check that out. Check out yesterday's video on this channel that you're watching right now. We had Bill Holter, special guest, Bill Holter, the Godfather, on yesterday. Absolute incredible interview. Always a pleasure to spend some time with Bill. And you know, the more you talk to people like the Bill Holters and other people who are really who've really got their finger on the pulse, man, we got to be waking up to what's going on. You know, unsustainable deficits and exploding debt levels combined with a crumbling military are the perfect recipe for the end of an empire. And Bill Holter speaking yesterday, really that we are watching the demise of the U.S. empire right now take place. The deficits are way too big, and we are really failing as a nation. And a lot of people that write in on the comment sections, even Bill, many people think it may be too late. Nobody can save this. It does not matter at this point who is elected, because nobody is talking about the debt. The debts keep getting bigger, and you know the prosperity of an empire. You got to have a strong economy. If you're going to be a prosperous empire, you've got to have a strong economy, a solid currency, and a controlled level of debt. We have none of this. None of this. And then when we look at the average household in America, none of this. Enrique.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see, a lot of people are struggling. I actually had a client the other day. They showed up at the office, and they've been working at a well-known steakhouse near where we live for over almost 20 years, and they said that the business was definitely the worst they've ever seen in their lifetime. And there was only several appointments there, several reservations for that steakhouse that night. And unfortunately, out of all the different servers that are available to work, which we're entering pretty much our busy season, they only had one server doing all these reservations. So all the other servers pretty much had no work that day. And probably during the rest of this week, out of all the servers available, probably only 15 to 20% of those servers will be working. The rest of them, unfortunately, they'll be unemployed, or at least they'll be underemployed for the near future.
And I know that restaurant is family owned, been
Yes.
family owned for many, many years, for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, 80% of this country is living paycheck to paycheck. If people miss one paycheck, have a bad week, have an accident, an emergency, they're in very, very big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen things this bad. And as we're driving across the country, looking at the car lots, the truck lots, the RV lots, it is mind-blowing to see this much merchandise just sitting on the lots under the sun with nobody kicking tires. We drove by so many car lots. We've driven hundreds and hundreds of miles in the past a couple days, probably literally 1,000 miles at this point, past hundreds of lots of RVs, cars, SUVs, all that stuff. And you barely see anybody out there in the lots kicking tires. This is not going to end well. Aaron.
So just going back to the Bill Holter thing and you, I know Bill's probably been screaming at the top of his lungs of all this stuff that's coming, and people were calling him crazy, people were calling you crazy, that you're out of your mind, and everything that y'all have been talking about, not everything has come to pass, but lots of stuff what you're saying has come to fruition. And everything else that we warn about, on your channel, my channel, and people like Bill, I think we're going to be right. I mean, this thing's been,
unfortunately, and
yeah.
We don't want to be right, but and many of you have been calling this probably longer than we have. But there's people out there that just go, oh, it hasn't happened yet, or you've been talking about this for 3 years. And people just don't understand how long a collapse takes to build up. But eventually it just takes one snowflake to land on top of the mountain and set off an avalanche. But you just know that when you continue to do this for years, the debts, the deficits, the money printing, the low interest rates, the corporate buybacks, the juicing of the markets, dropping in $6-7 trillion in a 30-month period. Look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. It doesn't happen. These things don't happen overnight. They take years to build up, and this is an enormous bubble, multiple bubbles. And when this thing bursts, it is going to rip the face off so many people. They're going to wake up and not even know what hit them. This is going to be nuclear. Anything you want to say about that?
So, and I think the U.S. is going to be hit probably the hardest.
Absolutely.
Because we are the most dumbed down and arrogant society.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think it can happen here because it's America. It's never happened here. It won't happen
So
here.
we're the most unprepared because of that train of thinking,
right?
Train
Because
of thought.
people don't think it can happen here, and so when it happens, it's going to be ugly.
That's the worst thing. When you think it can't happen, you don't believe it can happen. That means you're going to be the most unprepared person when it does happen. Enrique.
Yeah, again, a lot of people are unprepared. If you look at the general people, I look at the general, once you start getting the hang of it, you start paying attention to the people around you, and you start noticing that the majority of people around you are definitely not prepared. You ask them questions. I have a lot of clients that I interview on a yearly basis, every single year, and I could tell that a lot of these people, anything happens, you get a big earthquake there or some sort of natural disaster, and a lot of these people are not going to know what to do. They don't have generators, they don't have backup food, they don't have anything to be able to depend on themselves. And so a lot of them, what are they going to do? They're just going to go and shrivel up and wait for, the FEMA to arrive, if they ever arrive. And
they're broke. They can't.
They're broke. Yeah, they won't be able to afford it. So unfortunately, the U.S., there's a lot of education that still needs to happen, and that's why we're here. We're here to be able to educate everybody. And even if we help, 10, 15, 20 people out of thousands of people, that's still an improvement. Little by little, this is how we're going to get the message across.
America used to be the land of the free. Now it is the land of the zombies. You made a statement years ago on this channel, many, many years ago.
Right.
What was it?
I can afford to be wrong, but can you afford for me to be right?
Think about that. Have a good day. Be safe. God bless.